Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and today I'm going to tell you exactly the best way to actually use a retirement account. And I'm going to try to answer 3 of the main questions I see all the time that never get a clear answer. For example, how much money can I actually put into my retirement account? How do I take my money out? And also, which retirement account is best for me? Is it the Roth 401k? Is it the 401k? Is it a Roth IRA? Is it a traditional IRA? Is it the 403b? Is it the SEP? There are so many out there that you probably don't know exactly, well, if I pick this one, I miss out on this feature, so which one exactly is actually best for me? And that's why today I'm going to break everything down very simple. That way you guys walk away from here understanding exactly the best strategy when it comes to your retirement account. And by the way, guys, if you guys are new here, I post videos every single day on YouTube about money and finance and retirement, so make sure to also subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified. On top of that, also destroy the like button. Now, the very first thing I want to say is this. The worst thing you can possibly do is retire with no money whatsoever, or the second worst is basically retire with not enough money. So that's why in this video, I'm also going to give you a plan to make sure by the time you actually retire, maybe in 30, 40, or 10 years, for example, depending on what age you are, you're going to retire with enough money. That way you don't have to work if you don't want to anymore. Okay, it's always good to have options. Now the first thing is this, guys. Okay, which retirement plan is actually best for you? Now, although there are a ton of options out there, a ton of categories, all this different stuff, in reality, when it comes to retirement plans, usually they fall under 2 windows. For example, pay taxes today or pay taxes tomorrow when you actually retire. Pre-tax, or for example, after tax. And that is all it is, and that's how simple you can actually break them down. Do I pay taxes today and get it over with, or do I carry it out for like around 40 years and then go ahead and pay taxes tomorrow on whatever amount that actually is? That's the whole idea, and that's how it actually works. Now, here are some options when it comes to retirement plans, okay? First of all, we have the Roth IRA and also the traditional IRA, mostly individual retirement accounts, right? Now, the Roth IRA is basically you pay taxes today and don't worry about them tomorrow. Traditional IRA is basically you don't pay taxes today and you pay them later tomorrow when you actually retire. Now, you might say, for example, Tommy, it sounds like the best idea is basically you avoid taxes today, right? And then you basically pay taxes tomorrow when you retire when you're like 40 something years old. But in reality, that's when you're actually going to need the most of your money. So that's when in actuality, you're not going to want to be paying no taxes whatsoever. So that's why I usually just recommend the Roth IRA. Now, here is my favorite example when it comes to breaking this down right here, okay? Now, this right here is an example. You have Sarah, you have Brian, and you also have Sam. Sarah and Brian basically are savers and Brian's a spender, but in reality, they both have traditional pre-tax accounts, right? Now, again, pre-tax is basically you pay taxes tomorrow and not today. Now, Sarah here invested $5K, right? Plus, you also invested a refund of around $1,200 and left it there over 30 years. In 30 years, she's going to have around $35,000 inside of that account. Now, Brian grabbed the refund and basically spent it on a vacation. That's the only difference there. And that's why he only has around $28,000. While Sam, the spender, also put the money into a Roth IRA, basically paid taxes today and not tomorrow, which basically means today he has around $38,000, even though he never got a refund, but mainly because all this money belongs to him and only him. While Sarah and Brian have to pay around between 24 to around 35% just in taxes to Uncle Sam. And that's why usually I recommend getting a after-tax account, because basically when you're older, you're not working anymore, and you have to worry about your income. That's when basically you don't want to worry about taxes. If you're younger today, why not pay the tax today and not worry about it later when you actually need not to worry about it, okay? When you're older, you don't want any taxes and you don't want anybody taking a piece of your nest egg. And that's why usually I recommend a after-tax account for retirement. Now, That's a great example if you ask me. Now, for example, Tommy, okay, but what about a 401k plan? The answer is a 401k plan also has a Roth option. So in reality, you can go ahead and invest into a Roth 401k plan with your after-tax money. That way, you don't pay taxes later on in life. But the only difference is basically you get to contribute a lot more money. Now, on top of that, let's say, for example, you also have a 403b plan, okay? Also a retirement account, mostly for nurses, teachers, and basically people that take care of mental institutions. The idea is that those plans are very similar also to a 401k plan. And they also include Roth options. So if you want to basically invest with your pre-tax income, also an option, but basically with your post-tax income, also an option. That way you don't pay taxes later on. And by the way, my grandfather actually has a 403b plan and only has around $40,000 into it. But on top of that, all that money that's in there, 40K, in reality, he's going to have to pay taxes on it, especially when he's older now and needs all that money. So that's why I always recommend, usually, you want to get the Roth option to those plans. That way, you don't worry about taxes in the future. And then lastly, you also have, for example, an SEP IRA. Basically, it's simplified employee pension. Individual retirement account. That's what the IRA stands for. Also, it's important you know all these things. That way you know exactly what everybody's talking about when they talk about it. But basically, it's for self-employed people that want to contribute a lot of money because basically they don't have any employer to go ahead and match anything either. So overall, those right there are mostly all the options when it comes to retirement plans, depending if you're employed or self-employed, have a business, whatever it is, okay? But overall, it's all breaking down into two options, okay? Either pay taxes today or pay taxes tomorrow. And that's the big difference that kind of differentiates all of them, okay? And that's what you basically need to know. Oh, and by the way, guys, last tip here, you can actually go ahead and contribute also into a 401k plan and also a Roth 401k plan. And I'll tell you why later on in the video. And here's when I actually tell you exactly why you can actually have both of them right there. Now, number two is basically, how do you plan your contributions and how much money should you have when it comes to retirement and how much money should you actually start investing when it comes to your retirement? Again, the last thing you want to have is a problem where you don't have enough money for retirement and now you're working at Popeyes or McDonald's or, for example, Walmart, greeting people or saying, hey, yeah, I work here. I'm 85 years old and I don't have enough money. That's not what I actually want for you. So that's why the common rule that I basically have is you want to have around 25 times your current income when it comes to retirement. So, for example, if you make $40,000 every single year, you want to have that 40K times 25, which equals around $1 million when it comes to retirement plan. That way, you're 100% taken care of. Now, when it comes to contributions, here is how it works. For example, when you have the IRAs, the individual retirement plans, for example, the Roth IRA, or for example, the traditional IRA, you can contribute up to $6,000 in total for both of them. So 3K in one or 3K in the other one. In total, 6K and no more than that. But there's also a catch-up. So for example, if you're 50 years or older, you can go ahead and contribute up to $7,000 together in both of them in total. Not 7K and 7K, only 7K in total into traditional and also a Roth. But most of the times, it makes sense just to have, for example, a Roth IRA and contribute around $6,000, and that way you max it out and it's taken care of. And by the way, I want to say this right here just so you guys know. A Roth IRA is just a retirement account for investing. When you put money into that, you still have to go inside and select your investments and what exactly you're actually going to invest into. I have a link down below to my portfolio if you want to copy it over for your entire retirement plan also. It's the M1 Finance link in the description down below. But overall, what I would do is basically just invest into the Roth IRA, 6K over 40 years at an 8% return is going to equal somewhere around $1.6 million into a Roth IRA. And in reality, all that money is going to be 100% yours. All of it is yours. But if you have, for example, a traditional IRA, you have 1.6 million, when you start taking money out, you still have to pay around 24 to 35% of all that money towards taxes. And that's why I don't like the pre-tax accounts that much. I get a tax benefit today, but tomorrow when you need all that money, you're you're going to not have the same amount of money if you have, for example, just a Roth IRA. So when it comes to the IRAs, individual retirement accounts, usually I recommend you go ahead and go with a Roth IRA. Now, when it comes to the employer retirement accounts, for example, the 401ks, the Roth 401ks, the 403bs, or for example, the Roth 403bs, the answer is you can contribute up to $19,500, but if you're actually 50 years or older, you can go ahead and contribute up to an additional $6,500 towards those 401k plans. So for example, Roth 401k plans, or for example, 403b plans or the Roth 403b plan, okay? That's how it basically works. However, the cool thing about employer retirement plans like the 401k and so on, the idea is that usually the employer gives you a match for every dollar you actually invest, because that way they also get a massive tax deduction off of those, okay? So for example, you can also have the employer match some of that money, so that way you actually can contribute more than $19,500 in total. For example, say I go ahead and do $19,500 into my Roth 401k plan or my Roth 403b plan, right? The idea is that then the employer can go ahead and match X amount up to $57,000 in total with your $19,500, and then go ahead and put that into your normal 401k plan, okay? That way, everything is taken care of, and that way you have a lot more money for retirement. But Tommy, why not just put that money into my Roth 401k plan? Because basically, the employer has to put it into a normal pre-tax account, because that's the only way they go ahead and benefit from the tax benefit of the entire thing. And by law, that's the only way they can actually do it. So for example, the way I do it currently in my company is I personally do around $19,500 for my Roth 401k plan, and then me, myself, my employer does an additional $12,000 or 25% of my salary towards my entire 401k plan. That way I get $19K from here, $12K from here, for a total of around $31,500 every single year going straight towards retirement. And it also saves me a ton of money on taxes when it comes to my business personal taxes. And to me, that is pretty awesome. So basically, if you have an employer giving you a match, go ahead and take advantage of it fully, okay? That's very important. But overall, guys, when it comes to the IRAs, like the Roth IRA, go ahead and max it out around $6K every single year. That's what I recommend. But when it comes to the 401k and so on, usually that's going to be a lot of money to actually go ahead and try to max out. So that's why usually my rule is go ahead and do 20% of whatever you actually earn every single year. So for example, if I earn $48,000 a year, I'm going to go ahead and contribute 20% of that, which is going to be around $9,600 for retirement every single year. And that's going to be $6K for my Roth IRA and the rest towards my 401k plan. If you want to do more, then great, but that's only if you have the money to actually do more. I don't want you to do 50% and 50% and then go out there and have to be homeless if anything crazy actually happens to you. So that's why my rule is 20% of your money should go towards retirement. And by the way, if you get a side hustle, for example, like an Uber job, you can go ahead and contribute all that money also towards retirement if you actually want to. But talk about that with your CPA. That way you know all the rules and also all the limits when it comes to having a separate entity when it comes to retirement. So that's also very important. Now, the last thing, guys, is this, okay? Tommy, but what about withdrawing my money? I know the best plan for me. I know how to contribute money, but what about going out there and withdrawing my money now? What should be the rule when it comes to that? The answer is basically, again, when it comes to how much money to have for retirement, you want to have around 25 times your income. So for example, if you make $40,000 a year, you want to times that by 25, and that's how much money you actually want to have when it comes to retirement. However, let's say, for example, you follow my rule of 20% of your pay every single year goes into retirement. So for example, if I make $40,000 a year, I'm going to put down 20% of that towards retirement, which is around $8,000. Now, if I did this over 40 years at an 8% return, I would have around $2.2 million. That's how cool it is. So basically, I have double the money I actually need for retirement. So for example, if I have a Roth IRA, which I've been contributing to, I can go ahead after age 59 and a half, take money out 100% tax-free, and all that money is actually mine. Now, I recommend you only take around 4% of what you actually have in your portfolio. Now, tell me, why not take all the money out? The answer is you don't need all the money, okay? For example, if we have a portfolio of $1,000,000 and you only take around 4%, well, that's around 40K. That's equal to how much money you actually made when you had a normal job, plus your SSA is going to kick in, Social Security, and it's going to be even more money every single year to actually live off, okay? I'm saying, for example, if you're 65 years old and you do this and you live an additional, for example, 35 years, right? The idea is that you want to make sure you don't run out of money. And over 35 years, when you're 100 years old, you're still going to be making money and getting more money every single year if you just withdraw, for example, 4%. And that's basically called the 4% rule when it comes to retirement. And when it comes, for example, for your Roth 401k plan, the same thing applies. But if you do have, for example, a traditional IRA, I have a video, or for example, a traditional 401k plan, I have a video on how to convert it into a Roth IRA, and I'll link that down below. That way you guys know exactly how to get it done. And by the way, guys, comment down below if you guys want to know exactly. Tell me, but what if I have an emergency? How do I withdraw money then? How does it work? What are the penalties? If you want a video like that, comment down below, let me know, and I'll get to work. But the goal is, guys, overall, if you put down 20% of your income into your retirement plan, by the time you retire in like 40 or 30 years, be more aggressive, by the way, the answer is you're going to have enough money there, 100%, to take care of yourself and only work if you actually love the job you actually have and you actually enjoy. And that's what I like when it comes to retirement. And that's why my rule is, again, 20%. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Comment down below and let me know if it was helpful or not helpful. Comment down below. Let me know. Any questions also, I'll be in the comments answering. So comment down below anything. And before I go, make sure to also like this video. On top of that, if you're new here, subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified. And on top of that, before I go, if you want to text me or call me, straight to my Patreon, link down below. Show me a DM on Instagram at TommyBryson. And before I go, if you want to see exactly how I invest my money and portfolios, here's that video right here. See you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace.